Make sure my camera and everything good. Yeah,
Everything's straight. I
it's a
can see
wide
us
lens.
right here.
It's a wide lens. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, I can see us right here. So, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take it back.
Okay.
I like to take it way back.
Yeah.
This is the Headshot Happy Hour. I'm Shondell Thomas. I'm sitting here with Vernon Jackson. Vernon is a man of many things. Vernon is owner of Noble Barber and Beauty. He is an author of two very best-selling books. What is it? Through the Looking Glass
Looking Glass. Yep.
And the Looking Glass
Part 2.
Part 2.
Looking Deeper. Yeah.
Looking Deeper. He is also the founder of a wonderful program called the Gifted Program, right?
Yep. The Gifted Event.
The Gifted Event.
Yeah.
That helps to bring free haircuts to special needs children. Man, it's so much more that I can say about him, but we'll unpack a lot of that. So, you and I met, man, it's early 2000s.
Yeah.
I say what, 10?
I say about two.
08?
I said 08. I said between 08 and 10. I say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vernon was you were hosting open mic nights at the Greenwich.
Yep.
The world famous old school jazz club turned open mic night house.
Yep.
I like to go back there because that is like when we talk about a length of connection. There's power in longevity of relationships.
Yeah.
Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So how you doing, man? First of all.
Man, I'm phenomenal.
Good.
I'm phenomenal, man. I slept good last night. You know, ate me some potato chips for breakfast. You know what I mean? Took the dogs out, cleaned up my space, you know, hung out with my plants. I'm good.
I got you. I like that. So I see your plant collection is dope, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's like waking up to life and hanging around like life that gives you air. You know what I'm saying? That breathes life into you, right?
Yeah.
And that's my environment at the house. Like my environment has to match my spirit, what I need. And so, you know, when I leave the house, when I go back to the house, I want both of those events to be in peace.
Yep. That's dope. And your plants, and we know it to be a fact that if your space, if the environment that they're in isn't conducive to the things that they need or the energy they need, they're not gonna live.
They're not.
That's dope. That's dope. What? How did you get the green thumb?
Man, just you know, I just knew when I moved to my not my recent spot, but my last spot, I just wanted more green around me.
Yeah.
I wanted more green around me. I wanted to be more intentional about decorating my space because the spaces I lived in before were just like I had like a passing through mindset, and so I wanted to start practicing what would my space look like if I was more intentional about creating my space and my energy. And what ends up happening is the more home feels, the less you want to be out and away from home.
Yeah.
You know, so it goes into relationships and everything. The more your relationship feels like home, the less you want to be out there. The more your house feels like home, the less you want to be out there. It all works together. So I was just practicing in my own intentional space.
That's dope. That's dope. So you talk a lot about intentionality. You talk a lot about vulnerability. You talk a lot about it in your books and in your posts.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean to you?
Man, you know, I'll be real with you, man. Vulnerability feels like, you know, it feels like being human. It feels like getting back to, you know, because as we get older and we experience life, we become layers, almost like, you know, like calluses over the most sensitive areas, right? And, you know, and we forget that we're only here for this like, you know what I'm saying? And so, could we be so busy doing everything else? And so, being vulnerable allows us to tap back into or to have a relationship with those soft areas, and by visiting them and by staying connected with, which how I like to live my life fundamentally is from a place of being a human being first, and then everything else, all the other titles come after that. So so really, so lastly, being vulnerable allows me to, and reminding people of that is the encouragement of staying connected with your human being, right? Because if you're in touch with that, you connected with that, you won't just be a human being. You will be a human becoming on a regular basis.
Yeah. And so I like that. So that's I mean, that's a part of that connectedness. I mean, it like you say, it reminds people of who you are, and so being intentional, being vulnerable, letting people know who you are in a certain time and certain space, it allows you room to grow.
Yeah.
Because they are like people that you're in a relation with, whether it's business or whether it's personal. They just know.
Yeah. And if they don't, and if they don't know off the top, they are willing to be patient with you in the process. And that's what being vulnerable is, because you're the people who accept you for who you are and how you are will always be the people that see you and that you will always allow in your space, because you don't have to act or be anything else, right? And so which is what I learned from doing poetry. Is what I learned from doing the shows. It was a practice for me to, one, when I became a host, to rest in commanding a crowd. I mean, commanding a crowd comes from holding someone's attention, especially when there's no list. So it allowed me to be the goofy self that when I was younger, my family didn't understand, and they pushed away because I was using jokes to kind of make awkward moments not so awkward. So, where it was, bad timing and wrong people I was able to groom it to be the right timing with the right people, right? And so, and that required me to be vulnerable with, like, I could have chose not to be funny on stage because of what I went through. But like, no, it's a part of me, right? Being vulnerable allowed me to write the poetry that allowed people to see me and to gravitate to me and to love my works and to show up for them, right? So the open mic was a microcosm and a projection for me to become the most vulnerable version and the real version of myself via writing and performing. And thus doing the same thing. That's why I did it for so long, because I know what it did for me, and I wanted to see it happen for other people.
I find it in my life that showing up as my true authentic self, it has like benefited me greatly. Some of the things that I am most insecure about, in certain instances, calling attention to those or acknowledging those things. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking to just random people, but people that I'm in relation with. I think that has served me well. Let me ask you this. So, Looking Glass. What made you write that book?
Man, so my first editor, she came in, she sat in a chair. I didn't know her. She was pretty cute, and I was trying to flirt. And I was like, I write some poetry. You know what I'm saying? If you will. And then she was like, I know. You should write a book. I was like, before, and at that moment, before, people always said, Element, write a book, right? And I'm like, I don't want to write a poetry book. I don't even like reading poetry books for real, right? And so she's like, well, she said, Vern, it's not about you. It's about your reader.
That's real talk.
And just like you had that response, that's how I had the response. And I'm the kind of person where, like, no, if it makes sense, whatever I thought doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, or it matters, but not there's adjustment that needs to be made.
Yeah.
At that point, she got my attention. So I said I agreed to a lunch. Let's talk about it. I came to the lunch. I said, listen, thought about it. I meet you halfway because it was your idea. I'll write a book that has poetry in it, but this is what I want to talk about. And which was and what I really want to talk about was my experience through dating. As being a male, a black male, a male and a black male in dating and experiencing, this weight that, of pressure of getting married and getting into a relationship and, at the time and even sometimes even now being, dating, women just, women, testing you, right? What's your why here? What's your intentions and X, Y, and Z and all that stuff. And in the moment I was like, I asked them, I put it in reverse. When I was in my 20s, I was like, no, so why do you want to get married? And the more I felt empowered in that moment. And, because, for the first time I was listening. And that's when I first started to listen better than I talked.
Yeah.
Right. And, at that moment or in those moments, getting those answers, it was like the same. It was like never about, being in a relationship was never about me, like as wanting to get to know me as a man, wanting to get to know VernonJAckson, wanting to get to know the makeup of what made me up, right? It was all about what they wanted.
Yeah.
I was a means to an end.
Yeah. Do you think that is kind of, I don't want to call it a problem, but do you think that that's where the cog in the wheel comes in relationship between men and women as it relates to dating? Is we're so much looking for what we can get out of it as opposed to experiencing every moment and bringing value to the situation as opposed to what a person can do for you.
Absolutely. We don't, for me, I feel like, I believe that the great relationships are the ones that we feel like we get to experience.
Yeah.
Whatever that relationship is, whether it's with work or whether it's with, what I'm saying, like wherever the relation, wherever we in relationship and we own a ship with, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever that is that if I don't think I get to experiences with you, then what am I here for? And vice versa, and for us to connect at a level where like, like you're like being our authentic selves, and then realize that thing a lot of times for people that they don't know when to get off. They don't know when to, not when to get off of the experience. They don't know when to, and then, and by not knowing when to get off and when to stop and make adjustments, both parties, now they end up creating this toxic level of experience with each other, and that and then while they're doing that, and say if it does, and they don't have a process to heal, which is why I wrote the second book, asking those type of questions. Like you going out and trying to experience these experiences, but you haven't even healed from the experiences before. You're just on cruise control, cruising through it, because you don't feel it as much as you did at ground zero. Doesn't mean that it's still not heavy on you, and it's gonna come up later on in different experiences. And so, so in the dating process, I just wanted to bring light to that. I wanted to bring light. A subtitle I have for the book, I wrote it for men, but to women, right? So it's something for everyone to get something out of it, in fullness, right? And it does good because it's written from a place of vulnerability, of me being honest. I don't care how people will like or how they see what I wrote. I don't care. It's my story and it's my perspective, and I own it. And that's how it's supposed. I feel like that's how relationships are supposed to be.
So it's a starting point for people because everybody has their own experiences, their own ideologies about how things should go. But I think we have some of the same like occurrences in situations, right? So you can look at your thoughts, and there may be an instance that somebody else might think like, man, I just experienced that, or I just, you know what I mean? Or I was just thinking that, and here's another perspective. So do you offer solutions within your, your acknowledgments?
It's so principle based. And when it's principle based, you can't argue that, right?
Yeah.
And so where yes, there may be experiences in there, but the reality is the experiences are based off of principle.
Yeah.
So that way, you know, the reader is like no matter where they are at, whether they're in the dating phase or in a relationship, there's an opportunity to recalibrate and do an iOS update. You know what I'm saying? An operating system update on who you are as a person and what you're giving in your relationship, and are you really giving your relationship? How are you actually dating? And is it working for you? And why not? And if it doesn't, then let's go back to the basics. Let's start loving yourself and living your life from your full love and life experience with the option to be connected with someone and to be groomed and to learn how to love them and to be able to teach them how to love you just the same, right? Yeah.
That is dope. That is dope. So one last question on that topic, like, what does it mean, and I'm gonna say from you because, you know, this is your perspective, but what does it mean for you to heal?
Man, what it means for me to heal is to be able to acknowledge, take ownership of what you've been through without feeling like you have to forget it.
Yeah.
Right? To take it and to have no triggers that attach you, that if anything, you just have lessons learned from it and that you are aware of, but it doesn't take you to an emotional reaction space that, you know, that draws you back to that experience as if you were back in that experience.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's really important. So me being a person who has overcome, you know, the obstacles of divorce, or the mental fragments that came with going through a divorce, and then still raising children, you know, and navigating the emotions and the different mental complexities that go with that over the years. You know, I like to think that I've done fairly well, but there are still challenges that I have, you know, in that space.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But I like to say that, you know, I'm always challenging myself to redirect or to think through those things. You know what I mean? And like recalibrate, so to speak, right? So, you know, if there's a space in my life where I'm seeing certain signs, or, you know what I mean, I'm thinking, okay, so how can you do better, or how can you, you know, make this situation easier? You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because, you know, we talking about relation, we talking about, you know, we talking about individuals. Two, and it takes two, right? But it start with you first, though.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Are you doing that work? Because even like you say, even with a breakup, a divorce, you know, those type of things, like type of experiences. Hell, if you cut off if you cut off a limb, that's why there's a thing called having a phantom limb. Like your body still feels like it's there. And it responds to that. And it takes time to go through that process.
It do.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and heal from that mental, there's levels. There's healing from it physically. There's a mental aspect of it, because with the relationship, now you don't have this person physically next to you anymore. You have them emotionally, but you still emotionally and mentally connect with them. There's all these different like spiritual and psychic connections that you have to, like, you know, learn to live without again, right? And to put things that are healthy, that fill those spaces where they are now empty. Not cover them up, but to fill them, right? And so, you know, and our language that we use to describe those moments absolutely matter, which also was what I've learned from doing poetry, was being, you know, writing a poem made me be very intentional about what words I use to describe and to articulate a thought. That way, you know, I am conveying what I'm intentionally trying to say and what I want to say, and with no room to be over-interpreted for someone else's, from their own hurt. And I can own, I know that may be what you heard from what you feel,
Yeah.
that's not what I said.
Yeah.
Right? And so yeah, man, just, the healing process is just that. It's a process.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where like, no, I feel better. And sometimes you be like, I feel that. But it's not like, oh my God, that hurts.
Yeah.
And like, it's an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You
said something real big, and that the communication piece is huge, right?
Yeah.
So, people always think that, when you're talking about communicating, it's just, okay, just tell me how you feel. No, you don't not only tell a person how you feel, but it's the way you tell them how you feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you emphasize to articulate. You really need to, like, you almost sometimes have to overemphasize what you mean or what you're saying for people to truly hear you.
Yeah, but then sometimes people are still vessels, and they only have so much space to actually receive what you have to give.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? And so, so therefore, that's why it takes some unpacking. That's why there's like, you know what? We may have reached a cap point in this conversation. Let's table it and come back at a later time and revisit it and probably, unpack what happened in that experience for fact's sake, not emotional sake, right? Because you can't fix people's feelings and their emotions. They got to do that on their own. They got to get to a better place with what happened on their own. However, when it comes to the actual problem, how do we solve the problem? Right? So it doesn't happen again, right? You know what I'm saying? So, and how people speak and how people articulate or how people say what bothered them, it definitely matters, right? Because the more healed you are, the more you realize you don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. I don't have to do that. I don't, like, I can get I don't, there's so much energy. We can debate and be passionate debating, but I'm not here to attack you. Right? And so, there's that. And then if I feel like I have to attack you, then you need to know that you upset me, you hurt me, I'm angry at what you did, and you should feel how you make me feel, And I say how you make me feel because, you're close enough to me, vulnerably in a space that what you do affects me here, right? And know the type of things that when you understand that, you are way more delicate to that. But again, as our conversation started, it comes from being vulnerable. It comes from getting to a vulnerable place.
Nice. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about business. Like, I know, you've been conducting business a while. Because hosting the open mic nights, that was a business in itself. You know what I mean? So, talk to me a little bit about, how. Because were you doing barbering at the time that you were?
Yeah. Actually, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, but I considered a barber for people. But
I got you.
I came out of high school with my license.
Okay.
And so it was always my sponsor. It was always my sponsor. It was always what I used to bring in to pay for my artists, and, to take care of things and to make sure I was good while I was over here doing this. And a lot of people didn't know I cut hair in poetry.
Yeah,
and a lot of people
I didn't.
No one, like, and people that my clients didn't really. A lot of my clients didn't know that I was doing poetry.
Okay.
I kept everything separate. Yeah.
So what's the importance in that? How did that benefit you, keeping things separate?
It benefited me because I didn't like disappointment. I didn't like me telling someone about even promoting. I didn't like telling someone about what I had going on, and they didn't show up.
All right.
I was intentional about inviting you to my event.
Yeah.
I was intentional about like, hey, let me cut your hair, and you didn't show up.
Okay.
I would rather you hear about it how you hear about it,
Yep.
and then which is how I promote it. I never promote it in a way that was like telling people, hey, you should come to my event. Hey, come through here. Nah, I put it out to the open, to the public. If you vibe with it, you want to check it out, you can check it out.
Yeah.
And for some, it was a longer process to get it to grow, but when it grew, but the way it grew an audience and grew a family of people that really wanted to be there. You know what I'm saying? And thus, anybody new that came in, there was like, this is a vibe here. This is great energy here. This is, what I mean? And so the people that I would have initially, told about it, they heard about it, found out that it was me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is you?
Right.
Like your element. I know you as Vernon.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying, or vice versa. You know.
Yeah.
So after about 6, 7 years, about 7 or 8 years, people started knowing me for both. It's a clash.
I was gonna ask you about that. Like,
Yeah.
at what point did your mindset shift to allow everything to collide?
It just happened on its own. I didn't have to allow it.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, one of my homeboys who was the owner of the shop before I owned it was like, man, like you should be telling people about your shows, what you got going on, connect these audiences. It happened, and when it did, it happened on its own. And now I feel like they start seeing my work. I didn't know you cut hair. You cold.
Yeah.
I'm coming to get a cut by you. And,
Yeah.
oh, I heard about your show. Then they bring their dates to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah.
Because that's what it was. That was it. That was the vibe.
Yo, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's so dope that people didn't know. People still, people who were there know, but the gravity of what the shows I was curating did for people.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Like really, like on every level, not just on business, but also in the experience. So like, yo, like, man, as a guy, yo, take it down to something. Like, have you been to poetry nights before? Nah, I've been wanting up. I got you. My homeboy, he does it.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? Like the script, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that I was a part of and responsible of people's experiences.
Yeah.
From the ground, from their toes to their spirit and their mind.
Yeah.
What they walked away with in their mind and how they felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even when I have people like proposing to their ladies at the shows, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of vibe that powerful, bro. And I never did it for admiration or for titles or I did it for the experience.
Yeah.
And that's all I really cared about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so yeah.
That's dope. I think that's important to note because the experience is really important and to offer the experience unselfishly.
Yes.
I've always known you to be that way.
Yeah.
Always known you to be, you know what I mean, very welcoming. You know you got a gold mine. You know that you got this thing that a person must experience.
Yeah.
But you don't treat it like that. You like, here, I'm gonna invite you in. If you take it, you take it. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, no harm, no foul. But it's here for you.
Exactly.
You've always been that way, you know, and I see that. I see that in the gifted program that you have, man. The gifted experience, like that right there. When I first seen you do that, I was like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I mean, you giving back. You doing what you love, and you giving back.
Yeah.
What was the very first experience like, and how did it take place? How did it come about?
Man, to get to that experience, you have to understand that it's crazy. A parent hit me up last week. She said, yo, I'm happy for what you've been doing, what you've been able to experience, you know, what's going on with Gifted, but I didn't, you know, me and my kids didn't experience that from you when we were coming to you. And I said, no, your experience is fully fair. Understand, like, with your experience was rooted in, at that time, I was doing my job. Right now, I'm doing my mission.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so where I didn't like doing it before because how my blocking and my timing was, I didn't own the responsibility of it, and it was like it was tiring. You know, it was exhausting, mentally and emotionally trying to, you know, do a child with different needs in a 15-minute time slot when they needed more. And I wasn't ready to compromise and give them 30 minutes. And like, I didn't feel comfortable in charging a parent $50 or $40 for my time. For a child's cut, right? And so, you know, there was all these other variables that I didn't know how to articulate. Didn't know how to articulate to them. Them not knowing I'm actually being considerate, but I'm at odds within myself, trying to make everybody happy. Right? And so, but when I took ownership of the experience and I was ready to actually do it, my energy behind it was changed.
Yeah.
It's like as a man getting the woman that you want, like a man getting the things that you want. You treat it differently.
Yeah. Yep.
You're like, I want this here. Like this is like no. I'm like, hey, be careful with that. Be gentle with that.
Yeah.
You're very intentional about it. And so where I wanted this experience. I wanted so when the kids come to me now, I'm like, yo, I get to share this experience with them. Like the kid I had last week, Camden, and I'm in the back. I'm laying on the ground with him, cutting his hair while he's screaming. Right? Like, but I found the place that I can do it, in the way that I can do it.
Yeah.
That fit the bigger picture of making the experience for them. Like I don't even think about the challenges. Like I don't.
How and that's man, it takes a special person to see past that what you're experiencing, why this is happening. I mean, you are truly becoming one with these young people, in this experience. Like, how, like most people couldn't do that. They wouldn't have the patience, just squirming, the yelling. How did you overcome? How did you come to overcome, like?
Bro, it comes down to like this as much as you like you love me, yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're like, and so when you meet someone like your life partner and whatnot, your wife, or what you ever got going on, the same thing that the other person like this, my nerves. I can't take this. You're like, man, like it's bothersome, but it ain't that big a deal to me.
Yeah.
I accept it. One, because you're in a place in your life like, now this is what I want, and I want to experience this. I want to give you this. I want to experience this with you. You know what I'm saying? Now it takes work, but it's not your job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is again like with the young lady before, like before cutting kids with different needs was a job.
Okay.
And as a barber, I felt like I had to cut the hair.
Yeah.
But now I get to do this. Now I get to connect with them at a human level and say like, no, like I see you, and I'm here. Like, yes, yes, I know this process sucks, but I'm here with you.
Yeah. So it's a bigger gift to know that you're doing something for somebody else that that they may have challenges elsewhere.
Yeah, it really. Now, honestly, I won't even say that. I don't. Whatever those experiences are, like I'm not doing it like I know you. It's like I'm not doing it like I know you're having a hard time over here. I'm gonna do it for you over here because I'll make it easier for you.
Okay.
But nah. It's I'm present with it. I'm present with the experience. I'm like, hey, I have the capacity for it.
Yeah.
As a human being, and I have a lot of love to give.
Yeah.
And I'd rather give it to you because I understand it, and this is that.
Got you. So let me ask you this. We're gonna wrap it up. So what's next for VernonJAckson? Is Element coming back? You know what I mean?
I like that side of there. Is Element coming back? Man, bro. It's always an honor when I hear that shit, bro. It's always an honor when I hear people like like even yesterday, the other day, the day before yesterday, I put up a video of like when I stopped doing poetry, I started doing parties.
Yeah.
Because I'm a human being, bro. I like partying.
Yeah.
I like poetry. I like lounging. I like doing my ratchet.
Yeah.
I want all that joint,
yeah.
right? And so doing parties was fun, but it's a different kind of animal.
It is.
It's a different
hustle.
Yeah, it's a different hustle. And people respond to you differently in both those realms. It's crazy to experience what people do, and how people respond to you based upon what you do. Like what high is, you know what I'm saying? That's another conversation within itself. But I took when I got done doing poetry, I put the energy into poetry to doing parties. Like, oh, I did parties, great, and I knocked them out.
Okay.
I had some great day party experiences, curated some nice evening experiences, some dope venues.
Yeah.
There's that, because then the fight was to become seen as an actual promoter. Like, all right, we know you did poetry, that's cool, but it's not the same thing over here.
Yeah.
And then people that actually work with you and give you a chance.
Yeah.
And so there was that, right? But so I did that. I feel like with poetry, I made my mark.
Yeah.
I did, and I actually did it longer than I should have.
Okay.
And I didn't have a bigger vision. I had ideas of where I want to go with it,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a vision that was mine to own.
Gotcha.
The people who came through my event took it further than I did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the Chris Wileys and Dayton and Jay Martinez and Ace Metaphor, like they came through here.
Yeah.
And yet they started, and they see how I had things going on. They did their own shows and visit other people, and they took it into different planets, you know? And so I'm grateful to be a part of that journey, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to own every level of everything. And I'm okay with that. I'm good at going, once I make my mark, do my thing, okay, cool. Transition.
Yeah.
And into, I've had the pleasure to reinvent myself in multiple lanes while still being the same person.
Yeah, that's dope. Now, that is very important.
That's
So,
a bar.
yeah, it's a bar. It is,
That's a bar. Reinventing myself in different lanes, but still being the same person.
Yeah.
In my next post.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, and that should be. That's gonna be a quote that I definitely post, man. I appreciate this conversation, man. I appreciate you doing it at the last minute too.
For sure. No, absolutely, man. And for real, and to finish answering your question, what's next is my prayer, bro. I only want what's mine. I only want what's mine. I only want what I have the capacity for, and I don't reach, I receive. So whatever Dad has for me, whatever is going on, whatever is to happen, I've always been provided for. That's why my mindset is I don't reach, I receive, because there's no reason for me to operate from a place of stress and worrying and planning and creating and being. No, it's not what I feel like I was put on this earth to feel and to experience. And so I accept that I've been protected, provided for, beyond all that I could ever ask and or think. So there's no reason for me to challenge the question. You know what I'm saying? And so gifted was a God-given thing that was like, it's me owning my humanity and what I can provide, and he did everything else. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. And he looked like he providing too, bro.
No, absolutely. Like that's what I'm saying. Like provide me enough to be abundantly happy and with opportunity. Because remember, when I was doing my own, I was messing up.
Yeah.
Started doing gifted, it flourished.
Yeah.
Right? It's all him. You know what I'm saying? Like I get to be a part of this experience. I own my part in the experience.
That's dope.
And I experienced that experience. But this is far beyond and bigger than me. Right? And so then there's, so it'll be what it's going to be.
I like that. So real fast. Can share any links, any websites to anything you got going on so that the people can reach out and,
For sure. Well, you know what? They can always find me if they're on my social media, on Instagram, it's TikTok. It's the best, the number one, the word period. Inside my bio, you find my link tree, which ties all the links, my feature links from all the news networks. Those are there, and whether you want to book me for whether you want to get a T-shirt from Noble or get my book, everything is right there in the link tree. Facebook, I think it's like facebook.com/ELA Mental, the number one. And those, and then for the barbershop, noblebb.com. But everything is connected in one form of fashion.
That's dope. And we didn't even get to talk about the Jennifer Hudson interview, man. That was dope. I'm gonna have to talk to you offline about that, but that was an experience. But just if you can just tell us real quick,
for sure. What
was that experience like?
I tell you like this, man. Because we shot it back in February, and it was so dope. Because but I couldn't really get happy, excited about it because it was in February. It was cold. People, kids were getting sick with that flu that was going around.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening. And then when I finally got the flight out there, when it's actually happening, how to get there, get set up, catch the flight, all that good stuff. It was raining out there in LA at the time.
Okay.
And so they were flooding and a whole lot of things going on about that.
Okay.
Then the next day we go to the studio. It was at Warner Brothers studio. I had to get into, they did the COVID swab outside. So I could have went the whole time, and I could have ended up with COVID.
Wow.
Right? Thankfully, you know what I'm saying, gracefully, we didn't. So then I was like, oh snap. So the excitement happened when she called me and she said, welcome Vernon Jackson, just like that. I walked around the corner. You see me. I'm looking.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw the look.
I'm like, ooh, what's happening? Like that. Like that's how I felt, bro. That's how I felt. And that was an experience. Like seeing everybody, the lights, and I come around. How you doing? I walk up on her, and I said, gave her a hug, and I stopped. I paused. I did this. You see it in the video. I like.
You had to get that look.
That's what
you was. So I could tell you was in the moment. Like you was present, super present.
Yeah.
A lot of times you just go through those things and you relive it through the playback, but I could see you took your moments.
Yeah.
Because you might not never get it again.
Yeah. And I might, and for real, man, like, whether I not get it again, I just want to be present.
Yeah.
Like,
everything you do.
Like, in 2 months, like, in a month at that time, I went from TikTok going viral to doing NBC, Good Morning America, Today Show, all like bountiful numbers of accounts that had millions of views. And
wow.
WOWT featured the story, and Fox Newsroom had featured my story. Like this, like going global.
Yeah.
Like global. Like the furthest reach I got out there so far has been Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, I get people hit me up from London. I just did an interview with BBC London on radio last Wednesday.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much, bro. It's like, yeah. So I'm just being present, bro.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm being present while still making plans for the bigger picture.
Yeah,
there's a lot happening. Yeah,
and you still you.
Yeah,
that's the takeaway from this whole interview. Yeah. You still you, bro.
Yeah.
You ain't let it go to your head. You ain't so overwhelmed with it that you turning into somebody else. Like you, because you being present in each moment and you living through it.
Yep.
That's dope, man. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. This is Shondell Thomas with the Headshot Happy Hour. Man, this was an awesome interview. I want everybody to follow each of my pages. Everybody to share this video. It is on every platform. YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts. Share this. These are tools and gems that people are saying that everybody needs to hear. You never know what might inspire you. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.